Hello, I'm often a frequenter of garage sales, and this is the type of box you can generally find at a garage sale. Old, dirty, missing the latch, etc. But what's inside is really what I'm looking at, and this box was filled with art supplies. It only cost a couple dollars, actually a couple dollars, and inside is some amazing old stuff. Not particularly good stuff, but it's interesting stuff, especially if you're a person like me that really likes some of the history of art supplies or weird little quirky things. I mean, there's some boring stuff in here, like, what is this, 5,000 staples or something? Here we go. 5,000 staples, yeah. There's also this little knurled nut, which, you know, is a mysterious item. I don't know what that's in there. There are these little fascinating things. There are 4 or 3. You can clearly see that there are 3 of these little mini staplers, which are just crazy. I picked up the one I'm not familiar with. This is a Boss Stitch. The other ones are Swingline. And these are just tiny little pocket-sized staplers. I don't use those very often. I do actually have one already, but the staples are hard to come by, and these ones didn't come with the staples, so that's great. Got these little cross erasers. This little fascinating address book. You get the idea of all the stuff. There's some brads, more staples, and then this is what attracted me to this box in the first place. Up in the top here they had these calligraphy fountain pen nibs, and so I bought the box assuming that the pen was inside. I was correct, fortunately. Sometimes that's not the case. Also, there are little random bits and bobs like a rubber ball and stuff. This box almost seems like someone took all the school supplies, you'll see later, all the school supplies from some school, all the kids, and then just dumped them in a box and eventually put more art supplies that they just didn't have a use for in there. There's a little, I believe that's a rapidograph, sort of stereographic style ink pen tip. I've never seen that before. Nose pencil sharpener, that's fascinating. These little ear things, ear clips, I guess they're not earrings, binder rings, all sorts of stuff. Little eyedropper to fill the fountain pens. I have seen this box before, obviously. I have sorted through everything just so that I could get it back to my house. Let's put this tray off to the side here. So everything's in baggies, and I'm not as completely surprised by everything that's in here as I could have been beforehand. For instance, this sword, which I believe is from some sort of Rotary, Rotary Club, is not as surprising to me as it would have been, or it was initially. It was very surprising. You don't generally expect to see a sword when you open up a box of art supplies. I believe this is a letter opener of some type, although it could just be a little decorative thing. And we have all sorts of little things in here. Let's see if we can get a good shot through the bag, otherwise I'll just open up the bag, I guess. Got some crayons and China markers. Crayons and China markers are basically the same thing, depending on what you're looking at. I have a couple highlighters here that aren't in bags, that's because they're bad, but these ones are good. These are actually felt tip pens. This Staedtler Mars Graphic 3000 is actually a brush, sort of felt tip brush pen. Let's see, let's show that to you. These are fascinating, I love them, although I'm not very good with them. As you can see, it's leaked a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that. That's one of the big problems with these older art supply boxes, is people threw them in the garage or something and they just leaked. Or they leaked and then they threw them in the box and forgot about them. But the rest of these highlighters actually all work very well, which is fantastic. Got a pencil and a little graphite stick. I'm surprised these are the only real pencils in there, in a tiny bag. I'm going to save the more exciting stuff for last. Got some ballpoint pens. I don't know how the Papermate Flex Grips have done. I haven't seen them recently. They might be not made anymore. And there's a Uniball, of course. Or is that a Sanford? I thought the Uniball is made by Sanford, of course. You can't see any of that. I might put that. Let's see. Oh, these are charcoal pencils. They look quite a bit like China markers, but of course they're a lot more messy. I already have a couple of these. These are fantastic. course, I don't know how to use charcoal either. I don't know why I buy any of this stuff, because I'm not very good with the art supplies. Of course, there's a load of crayons. Most of them are Crayola. Some of them are generic other brands. But yeah, you're not going to find too terribly much interesting with these, although you get the old style Crayola logo. That's an older one there, so that's interesting. But crayons are one thing I do know how to use. I can color in drawings with them, though not very well. I don't know how to use crayons particularly artfully. Let's see here. We have, oh yes, these. These are pastel pencils, which I assume are sort of like chalk pastels. Let's get one out. They're sort of, you know, like the dry pastels. Oh man, that's a bad one to have gotten out because it's hard to read. Let's get the white one because it's got some gold lettering. It might be easier to read. There we go. It's better, I guess. Pastel pencil. Something that's made in France. From Paris, I assume. Yeah, that's what the Paris means. Anyway, these are just, yeah, chalky pencils, sort of pastel-ish. Probably very good for blending, unlike regular colored pencils or anything, but probably a bit more messy and hard to store. I don't really have any experience with these. I didn't know that these were things, but they're very nice. I actually like the idea of putting pastels in pencils so that you don't have them all over your fingers and you're not worried about them just breaking apart or anything like that. They got some pieces of chalkboard chalk, not big enough to be sidewalk chalk. Not very many of them either. That's not very exciting. We have these colored pencils. There are some pretty generic ones in here, but there are these that are Faber-Castell Color Ray. And I don't know if they still make these. I've never seen them before, which is fascinating to me. I really enjoy them. They're not particularly special, but they're decent colored pencils. Faber-Castell always makes quality stuff. Even their cheap stuff in foreign markets is better than the cheap stuff here. Anyway, and this is the most exciting part for me. There are 9 fountain pens in here. Let me make sure I am actually good at counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, there are 8 fountain pens, and one of them is, of course, a rapidograph. So it's not your traditional style fountain pen. This one in the middle here is the one that has the nibs from the beginning of the video. I believe it unscrews. Does it unscrew? Does it pull? I don't remember. There we go. It pulls. There we go. There are the nibs from the beginning of the video. They screw in there. You can get all sorts of calligraphy designs. I don't know if this is just a writing nib or a flex nib. I can't tell. It's looking through the viewfinder does not help because it's not focusing, because I'm not very good at getting it to focus. Anyway, that's fascinating. Most of these are Sheaffer. You get these school type pens. I have a couple of these already. They're really good pens. Of course, the biggest problem is that these were left in this box, in this bag, in this box. They were left around, and so this one has had something explode on it, and it has also exploded from the inside. So I have a problem holding these. They need to be cleaned up. They are wonderful. There's some... Truly, I'm not showing them to you at all because, of course, that's how video works. I need to keep things in frame. This one is very interesting. It's just been smashed. Just absolutely been destroyed. This was actually rotated. I rotated it this way. I don't know if that's the correct way. I don't think it is. I think it's supposed to be rotated the other way. But someone just stepped on that one or something. All sorts of little things like that. I keep saying fascinating. I like these a lot. When I get them clean, I'll hopefully do a video on them, hopefully review them. They're very interesting. This one as well is a Chinese fountain pen. I believe it's the one, yes. It's some Asian calligraphy fountain pen. You can see on there. I believe that the markings are in Chinese. They could be in Japanese kanji, which is, of course, Chinese. And you can see sort of the characters on there. And the nib is, of course, bent upwards so that you can make those bold strokes. Come on. There we go. so that you can make those bold strokes that are so common in those Eastern languages and not so much in the languages that use the Latin alphabet. That is just fascinating. It is hard to get back into the pen. It has been patented. I wonder where it has been patented. It's got a patent number. I wonder if that's in the US. Anyway, so that's the stuff that you can find in a box like this if you're looking at a garage sale for, like I say, only a couple dollars. This is an amazing find. I'm super happy. I am, going to spend a while sorting all this, putting it back in. Of course, I've already sorted it, but putting it into my collection with the rest of my items. And I will probably use a lot of the stuff here, and it'll be great. Also, there's a Sharpie. I don't know if you saw that. Just a regular old Sharpie pen. All sorts of stuff. And it's all just great stuff. It's not, the most high quality, the most useful today, especially because it just came from some random person. This isn't gonna go. Okay, well, I just threw it all back in there. That's fine. But if you're at a garage sale and you see a box like this full of junk, it's sometimes worth it. Sometimes I've gotten a bunch of dead pens. I've gotten like 60 dead pens in a go. But other times it is fantastic and you get a really good box like this. And you should really, if you're a garage sale person, you shouldn't discount these. And maybe if you're looking for some art supplies, some interesting stuff to broaden your horizons, and you're on a budget, you might want to go look at garage sales, see if you can find some of this stuff. They won't last you as long. They'll be pre-used, so they'll potentially be damaged, like these ones. The ink will be splattered everywhere, all sorts of stuff. But they are a good value for collectors or artists alike. Fantastic. And thank you for watching. Bye.